Welcome back to the Random Evil series. In this series, I'm sharing chapters from my book, Random Evil. Not everything happens for a reason. It's an exploration of how we talk about suffering, why we feel pressure to find meaning in painful experiences, and what it might look like to heal without blaming ourselves. Today's chapter is Chapter 4, Chaos is Not a Lesson Plan, by Jennifer Irene Stewart. Let's begin. There is something uniquely destabilizing about randomness, cruelty wounds. But randomness unsettles. Cruelty has intent. It can be condemned. It can be located in a person. Randomness has no motive. It cannot be reasoned with. It cannot be persuaded. It does not select based on merit. A storm shifts direction. A cell mutates. A distracted driver misses a signal. There is cause, but not instruction. When I first allowed myself to consider that some events in my life were not assigned, not karmic, not vibrational, not curriculum, I felt relief. I had not failed. I had not misaligned. I had not manifested my own harm. And then something else surfaced. If it wasn't assigned, it wasn't controllable. That realization is both freeing and sobering. The mind's need for order. Human beings are pattern-seeking. We detect agency easily, even when none exists. Psychologists refer to this as a tendency toward pattern perception and agency attribution. The brain prefers a false pattern to empty unpredictability. Randomness increases anxiety. Control, even perceived control, reduces it. Research consistently shows that people overestimate their influence over uncertain outcomes. This illusion of control bias is not stupidity. It is regulation. But the pull toward order goes deeper. Terror management theory, developed by social psychologists Sheldon Solomon, Jeff Greenberg, and Tom Pischinsky, suggests that awareness of mortality shapes much of human behavior. When people are reminded, even subtly, that life is fragile, they cling more tightly to belief systems that provide meaning and structure. Studies on mortality salience show that when participants are prompted to think about death, they defend their worldviews more intensely. They prefer clear moral systems. They reject ambiguity. Randomness does more than disrupt narrative. It reminds us that we are vulnerable. And vulnerability activates fear. Why chaos feels worse than cruelty. Cruelty is horrifying, but chaos threatens something foundational. If harm is chosen, it is terrible, but comprehensible. If harm is random, protection feels thinner. There is no moral calculus, no predictable equation. You cannot behave your way out of probability. For a nervous system already shaped by instability, this is deeply unsettling. When unpredictability becomes chronic, anxiety increases. Research consistently links unpredictable stressors with heightened physiological arousal and difficulty regulating threat responses. Randomness does not just scare us, it destabilizes our assumption of control. The seduction of meaning systems. This is where structured spiritual frameworks become especially attractive. If the world feels chaotic, a system that promises responsiveness feels soothing. Align your energy, shift your beliefs, raise your vibration. Reality will adjust. That narrative reduces anxiety. It suggests the world is not random. It is interactive. You can master it. For someone who has experienced chaos, this is not foolish. It is regulating. But perceived control is not the same as actual control. When events continue to unfold unpredictably, the system often does not collapse. Responsibility shifts inward. You must have doubted. You must have misaligned. You must have blocked the lesson. Now the promise of safety becomes self-surveillance, constant thought monitoring, constant emotional correction, constant vigilance. For a nervous system already taxed, this is exhausting. Hypervigilance in spiritual language is still hypervigilance. Random is not meaningless. There is a distinction worth preserving. Random does not mean meaningless. Random means without intention. A virus does not assign moral consequence. A natural disaster does not assess virtue. A medical complication does not evaluate alignment. There are causes, but not cosmic assignment. Meaning may still emerge later. Humans construct narrative identity over time. But meaning constructed after an event does not prove the event was designed. That distinction protects dignity. You can say, "This happened. It was not assigned, and I will decide how to respond." Accepting without collapsing. Acceptance is not approval. It is accurate perception. Psychological flexibility research shows that individuals who can tolerate uncertainty without frantic control-seeking tend to experience greater long-term resilience. This does not mean liking randomness. It means ceasing to fight its existence. There is steadiness in saying, "This event was not a lesson plan. It was an event. I will respond from here." That stance is less dramatic than cosmic storytelling. It is also more stable. Liberation and sobriety. Letting go of cosmic guarantees is sobering. Goodness does not guarantee insulation. Awareness does not eliminate vulnerability. Alignment does not override biology. There is grief in that. But there is also liberation. If harm is not evidence of misalignment, shame loses its grip. If suffering is not proof of spiritual failure, self-accusation softens. You are no longer required to decode catastrophe. You are allowed to respond instead. Randomness remains unsettling, but it is more honest than illusion. And honesty, though less comforting, is steadier. In closing, chaos is not a lesson plan. It is part of living in a biological, social, and probabilistic world. Some events are chosen, some are enabled, some are random. Recognizing this does not eliminate vulnerability. It restores proportion, and proportion reduces shame. You do not need to spiritualize physics to survive it. You need clarity. That's where we'll stop for today. If this chapter resonated with you, know that you're not alone in asking these kinds of questions. Many of us reach a point in life where we start looking at old ideas with new eyes. If you'd like to continue this exploration with me, I'll be sharing the next chapter soon. Until then, take good care of yourself.